Hi, this is Marcus Pulis, and this is Mykl Truthar, my friend, and this is a special edition of Aquarian Anarchy. Today we're going to be talking about media and what's involved in media and censorship and propaganda and all kinds of fun stuff like that. I've worked for Adam Kokesh for around 2.5 years now as his press secretary, and I've had to deal with media from a variety of different perspectives and had to build it out. And one of the things that I've noticed is that people have no idea how media works in this country and the challenges that as libertarians we face. And I'm not just talking about Adam, I'm talking about any libertarian, anybody that's trying, because I also work for Donald Rainwater, who is running for governor here in Indiana, and we face similar issues with him. And so I thought that I would get together with my friend Mykl, and he would ask me some questions, and we would discuss what that means and how we can get past that and what challenges I've faced so that one, other libertarians who might be doing similar things to what I'm doing with Adam might be able to grow and learn from what I've experienced or not get discouraged by the things that, because I have had a fair amount of success. You can go type in Adam Kokesh interview anywhere and you'll find hundreds of them. And if it's happened in the last 2.5 years, there is a 99% chance I'm the one who set it up.
Okay, so yeah, so you right now you work with politicians and you get their media press releases, so writing, some video, and you set up interviews with major media, right?
Right. The first most important thing is to be organized. And, that kind of goes without saying, you would think. But I've been approached by a lot of different people. And the first thing you want to be is professional. You know, even though, and because we're going to get into the media themselves in a minute, they may not be. But you got to be. And that means have a logo, hello, some kind of greeting. You need to have, the body of whatever you're saying needs to sound professional. You need to have your spelling check on. You need to, and I know that sometimes this may seem like, but you're never going to get through the door if this isn't happening.
Through the door, you mean with a major distributor of news like CBS or?
For sure, CBS, NBC, any of them, which we'll get into in a moment. But yeah, you're not going to get on them at all. But you may not even get into a podcast. If you're requesting and they look at it and they go, this guy looks like an idiot, they're probably not going to cover you, and it's going to make your candidate look bad.
Okay, so you're using some terms here that are probably very familiar with you, but just to fill me and everybody else in.
Okay.
When you say you're trying to get into, can you describe that and kind of let us know a brief description of exactly what you do, not what you try to do or your end goals, but what you do on a day-to-day basis to help your candidates?
Well, to start with, you need to have a list. And what a list is a set of email addresses or phone numbers, usually both, that you contact. You're going to have to do a bunch of research, or you're going to have to pay a bunch of money.
Media contacts?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be. You can usually just like go to, for instance, Fox Business, and you can go and there's usually a contact page. It's usually at the bottom. You have to look for it a little bit if you've got a little find thing. Sometimes you can put contact in that and you can find it. But a lot of it is you have to go and you have to look. This takes time. It took me probably the list that I have, and I have thousands and thousands of contacts at this point. As libertarians go, I don't know that there's a whole lot of people that have a better list than I do. I've not seen one.
And is this the same for, let's say, the radio station down the road as well as the national media?
Absolutely. Yeah, in fact, you're probably going to have better luck finding local media than you are at finding national media. An example is that nationally, you cannot give news to CBS. Can't do it. We're told that they're a news aggregator, that they're someone that puts out news, but they don't accept news. You can't send them a press release to their corporate office unless you have a special backdoor.
So this is a little counterintuitive. So you're saying that you give news like already done, like stories, to the news organizations that give the news back to us. Well, let's put a pin in that for a second. Okay, so you get your news list, and then what do you do for the candidate from there?
Okay, once you have your list, then there's two kinds of things that you're going to send out. One is a press release. Something's happened. There's some kind of news that's worthy. You got an endorsement. You made news somehow, like in Adam's case, you were arrested. Something like that. And or you have something new to bring to the political race, whatever it is. And you want to tell news organizations so that they can run that, so that they can carry it. And we'll get into the second part of that. I want to dig in right here, if you don't mind, on what you do. A lot of people think that what you do is you just say, okay, like for instance, when we had the Big Easy book bomb for Adam Kokesh, he dropped over 200,000 copies of his book to New Orleans, and that's huge news.
Like
nobody's
every mailbox or something.
Right, it was every residential mailbox in the city of New Orleans. You'd think that's big news, right? Which we did get. We got a newspaper. We got a few things. But you would think that's big news because it's never been done before. You would think, well, you would also think that all I really need to say is what I just said, right? I just need to say, Adam Kokesh delivered this amount.
Then they would dispatch journalists to actually start finding out, interviewing people, and start creating a story.
Right. No, you give them the story. You don't do that. None of that do you do, because reporters these days are not like Clark Kent. They're not out there gumshoeing it and finding out all the information. No, all they do is they want you to present them a story. I literally, if I got out that press release, it literally says everything that they need to say. They can then take that and put it into a story, change a few words, and put their name on it. And presto, they have a story, and that's what they want. They don't want to do any work.
So that's really troublesome to me, because whenever I think of an investigative journalist, I think of someone that goes out and starts finding the story, dismissing facts that are not true, and obsessing over facts that are true in order to build the story. But from what you're saying, you can just write up a story, give it to them, hopefully they fact check it, and then they feed it to the masses.
Correct. And that's what you should think of when you're getting something about Donald Trump, or you're getting, because they have a direct outlet. Here you go. When government wants it done, it's here, publish this. And you don't think that's happening, you're not paying attention. And you need to pay attention.
I think there was a guy on a late night show, this is from the edge of my memory, but he was talking about how the CIA says that some news stories aren't acceptable and some are.
Yep.
And that's just the way it is. You got to protect the people by not giving them fake news. Although this story was before fake news became a thing to say.
Yeah, and so what they deal with in the news media is propaganda, but we're skipping ahead. So you present to them a story. You write a narrative. Whatever you see in a newspaper, for instance, that has been handed to them, and they just put like they might add a sentence here or there, or modify something, but more often than not, they're just literally taking it and photocopying it and putting it into their news story as what it is, so that you need to write that and you need to get that to them, because you just assume. And I didn't know this coming in. I didn't know this 2.5 years ago, but they're lazy. I'm not saying all journalists. For instance, I'm friends with Derek Brose, but he's an independent journalist, and he has to earn his money.
So speaking of earning money, we all know that the news companies, major news, everybody makes money off of giving us the news. Do they in turn pay you for writing a story and handing it to them on a silver platter?
No, they don't. And they kind of consider, they have blessed you with their audience. Here, take our audience. That's pretty much it.
So you've never been paid by a news organization for producing for them?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. And in fact, many of them have the opposite going on. many of them expect to be paid. There's a thing called a money wall or a paywall where they expect you, if you're going to get on the news, you're going to give them some money.
Okay. Have you ever had to do that yourself?
No.
You just avoid them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're libertarians. Libertarians don't have a budget like that. You know, we don't have hundreds of millions of dollars that we're going to spend today on on doing this. So we're like, oh, you want? And have I been approached multiple times?
So all the candidates that you work for currently, or both the candidates that you work for,
and I've worked for two others, but
they've all been libertarian.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only work for libertarians. I would not work, and nothing against, for instance, Thomas Massey, who's a Republican. I would not work for him because he's in the party of Trump. I refuse. I'm an anarchist. Me too. Yeah, I absolutely cross my fingers and hope that the Libertarian Party does not make it impossible for me to vote for them, because I will not vote for a master. So no, I only vote for libertarians, and only then when they're good, when they're not trying to be in charge, when they're going to return the power to the people.
So okay, so far you've told us that you collect a list of media, you produce content, you give it to them, and then does anything happen between that time and then do they reach back out to you or ask for things?
So yes, but I want to, before we leave it behind, I want to grab the other thing that we do.
Okay.
The other thing that is similar to, and because it's very important, the other thing that we do is a interview request. Most of the time, I could probably count on maybe both. I've probably scheduled somewhere around 400 or 500 interviews for Adam, and like 10 for Brian Ellison, and that's the only two people I've actually scheduled for as of yet. Though I've talked to media and released press releases for Don, I haven't actually scheduled an interview for Don as yet. But I've only worked for him for a couple of months, so
Sure.
But anyway, the press releases I can probably count on at least my hands and feet. How many times I've gotten a bite, somebody that wants to interview Adam based on a press release.
And these are generally popular people or people that the public knows?
Sometimes.
But
I'd say that somewhere around 50% or 50 or 60% of the interviews Adam does are podcasts or YouTube channels. And then probably all but maybe 10% are radio, low-level radio, internet radio, those kinds of stuff. So maybe somewhere between 5 and 10% of the interviews that Adam does are mainstream media, radio or television or whatever.
I just really want to point out he's working for, well, both of us do, but specifically he does media for a presidential candidate. Not for somebody running for coroner in our county, but for a presidential candidate who is legitimately running for 2020.
And likely is at least, it may be the front runner. If you count just money, he is the front runner in the Libertarian Party, which is the third largest party in the country, by far. The only one that even competes with the Republicans and Democrats. The Greens don't do shit, and the Constitution Party do even less. Right. It's not that they're not valuable. I like a lot of those people. I disagree with them on a lot of things, but generally they're better than Republicans and Democrats. Mm-hmm. But the Libertarian Party is really the only one that has any kind of shot at getting any kind of publicity. Generally, when we do have a candidate, they do get covered, which, by the way, Gary Johnson did an awful lot of paying to play. People are like, oh, Gary Johnson got on this radio station and that radio. Because he had Bill Weld's money. Okay. And so yeah, that happened. But nothing to say anything bad about either Gary or Bill Weld. That's just what they had to do.
Sure, absolutely. But that also creates a troubling paradigm, because what you're essentially saying is a lot of what we're seeing got paid. Someone shelled out money to shove that in our face so that everybody else isn't being seen, just people shelling out that money.
Right, and an example of how they know that is during the 2012 presidential election. There was a hot mic situation with Dana Bash talking about talking about Ron Paul, and she said, "We can't let him win. He'll take all our money away."
Yeah.
Because they knew the government was funneling them money to win. So, but to back up, that is a small amount. Press releases don't get a lot of play. What gets a lot of play is two things, and I know this is building on each other, but in content, the majority of what you're going to score off of is an interview request. You have this list, you send them an interview request. It says, "Hey, Adam would like to come on your show," or "Hey, Don would like to come on your show, and when can we get that scheduled?" So on and so forth. And again, make it as professional as possible. I've gotten way more hits on that than I have on a press release. Press releases work sometimes, and you got to do them. You got to do them. One of the most frustrating things as a press secretary or somebody working for a candidate is that 90% of all this great writing that I've done, and because I've done a lot of really good writing, 90% of it went with nobody answering. I wrote this whole article about all this stuff that Adam was doing, or this or that happened, and I got nothing. Not a single thing back. More often than not, I've got a form. I don't write shit. And all I got to do is copy and paste that and put somebody's name in it. And I get much more back from that, but not from major media. You're not going to get major media with that. Almost ever. One time I got it from major media. Once. And that one time was Judge Andrew Napolitano. Mm-hmm. Just to tell that story right here, I got Adam in prime time on Kennedy on Fox Business with Judge Andrew Napolitano as the guest host. And it was because I was pounding on the judge. I wasn't pounding on Kennedy. I was pounding on the judge. You need to interview Adam. You need to interview Adam. Here's another interview. So I'm sending him like everything. Just pounding the door. And I'm not just talking about, like, because I send out press releases and interview requests about an average of once a week. Mm-hmm. So this is continuing to go every week. That happened with him because I sent a whole list. I've got a 300 send every time list. So they can, no matter what, they're getting it. I might get it to, like, if it has something to do with Texas, I might send it to Texas too, or wherever it is.
But you have a core list.
Right. I have a core 300 places that get it every time. So, and he's on it. So he gets it every single time. And so, but what I also did was actually both me and a friend of mine, Chad, who also works with Adam.
Chad's a great guy.
Yeah, wonderful person. Chad and I pounded on the judge on Twitter and just interview his ass. And in the midst of that, I sent the judge for a month straight, no less than 3 interview requests per week. Himself. I'm sending out my press release. On top of that, interview request. Every week, 3 of them. Basically every other day, minus the weekends. He's getting them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. For a month. And he got on there. That's what got me on Judge Andrew Napolitano, who is a libertarian, who knows Adam personally, likes him. If you get a chance to go watch the interview, salutes him. Says it's a great job. And it took all of that to get Adam onto his show.
So a lot of what you do is you slam up against the wall, but you're also competing with people that can hand over a lot of money in order to influence the situation, whereas you have none.
Correct.
So everything that you're actually winning, if you call, getting an interview a win, you're competing against people with a bunch of money. You have none. So you're already at an insane disadvantage, even though you're working for a political candidate.
Correct. And that is what we face. 90%. And that is probably purely accurate. It is at least 70%. But I'm guessing 90. somewhere between 70 and 90% of all interviews that I schedule are incoming. Are somebody saying, I know Adam Kokesh. I want to interview him. Anybody else? I have never scheduled anybody else with an incoming, ever. But 90%, I'm guessing, it's at least 70, but at least 70, probably closer to 90, have been incoming. Them saying, I want to interview Adam Kokesh. They've gone to the website, which has my email address. By the way, if you want to email me and interview Adam and you see this, Marcus@thefreedomline.com. So, because all about it. Or I've gone out and talked to people and they wind up contacting me, but it's incoming. Or somebody else has. So that's the other way that we get content.
So then, let's say I was a presidential candidate, you were working for me, and I said, hey, Marcus, I want you to get me on to CBS, and I want for CBS to have me in their studio so I can sit down and talk about my race for the presidency. What would you then do from there?
Well, if you said to me, Marcus, I want you to get me on the national CBS station, I would say that's never going to happen as a libertarian.
But I say, daggone it, try. What would you do?
I can't do anything.
And why is that?
Because I don't accept any incoming. CBS National does not accept incoming press releases unless you have somebody's special email, which I have looked. Again, I have tens of thousands of addresses. None of those, 0 of those, are CBS National. I have some CBS local affiliates, which get most of their stuff from national. But, and I'll get into local versus, because all of this said, this gets more complicated. But the CBS doesn't accept it.
Right, but you can't even really get in contact with them.
Nope, at all.
Okay.
But if you were talking about, what's funny is, if you were talking about PBS, everywhere, you can get PBS like crazy. Like I get in PBS, they ignore it every time, but I can submit like a crazy man. Like anything that's PBS, you can just, I've never gotten anything.
So how would you send that press release? So you would go onto their website, you try to find an email address, you would write up or produce the content, and then you would just send it to that email address and hope for a reply? Or?
Yep, and there are usually two ways. Either there's a contact form, a lot, that most websites have except CBS. You can submit, and it goes into the aethers from there. It may go right into a spam box. I don't have any idea. And my vote is that's where a lot of them go, right into a spam box. And but we're not just talking about major media. To some degree, you can say they get a crap ton of stuff every single day, and they're weeding through that. You can make whatever excuse you want. We're talking about Joe Rogan. I'm talking about people that you assume are a little more independent and are more likely to do that. No response from Joe Rogan, none. Adam has been on Joe Rogan, and I have a butthurt for Joe Rogan because he's supposed to be anti-establishment. His entire presence is supposed to be anti-establishment. And I get he's got a hard on for Bernie Sanders now. I get it. But entertaining wise, I've watched some of his more recent people, and it is about entertainment. It's about what's entertaining to watch. That's what Joe Rogan cares about. Adam was on Rogan years ago. One of the best damn shows he's had, said in the video, this is one of the best shows I've ever had. But he wasn't big yet. He wasn't huge. And so he's not at all responded. There is no one. Remember that pounded on Judge Andrew Napolitano's door? There is no one I have tried to get Adam on more with than Joe Rogan.
So why do you think it is that, I would think, intuitively, that if I produce news, or at least fed news to the masses, because apparently I wouldn't be producing it, I would just be taking it.
Right.
But it's intuitive that I would go to a presidential candidate. Americans on Facebook and everywhere else talk about politics constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think it is that they wouldn't just have raging hard boners for interviewing a presidential candidate?
I think there's a lot of answers to that. And I think that one of the biggest ones is he got Bernie Sanders on his show. What if Bernie Sanders says, I'm not going to go on your show because you interview libertarians too? And because the people in government know that if a libertarian were ever to break through fully into the mainstream media, most people are libertarian in this country. Most people that take it, you might not be, my kind of libertarian. You might not be 100% pure or whatever. But most people, if you have authoritarian and libertarian, most people are libertarian.
And especially libertarian, once you know that you can also have roads and you don't have to have authority with roads, you can have freedom with roads.
Right.
People get really excited then.
Right. Yeah, and so they don't, and the people that are in control of things know that. They know that if the American people ever realized that there is a viable another option, they're not going to do it. And so it's not that I think Rogan particularly is like, I don't like that Adam Kokesh, I don't want da-da-da-da. I mean, he had Alex Jones on one of the most entertaining, I couldn't look away, one of the most entertaining 6-hour shows I've ever watched. Now, it's
train wreck.
Right,
but,
right, but entertaining. But he bought into they knew, and people, and when I say they, I'm talking about government and the people behind the scenes. Because if you don't think this is controlled, you're wrong. Whether directly controlled or just controlled by opinion, either way, doesn't matter. It's controlled, and they know that Alex divides and conquers. You're either going, you've got the vast majority of the people in this country gonna go flocking to the Alex side, and the other half are gonna go flocking away from the Alex side, and that keeps people nice and divided.
You're either concerned about the homosexuality of frogs, or you are not.
Yep, and so that's accepted. But people like, and to pull it out of, out of Adam, how is Vermin Supreme not on Rogan?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be one of the funniest things I ever saw.
Right, because almost every anarchist or libertarian knows Adam Kokesh. But Vermin Supreme, every anarchist or libertarian knows him. So do many Democrats, so do many Republicans. He's such a wide spectrum. Why not have him? And if you like entertainment, the dude wears a boot on his head.
Right. Why the hell is Vermin not on Rogan? It makes no sense. So it's controlled. And so we're not just talking about those people. There have been some exceptions to these rules. Adam's been on a few major media outlets. I would say the only person who really competes with him is Vermin on being on, and Adam's on far more smaller ones. Like if you take Total, Adam just whoops the shit out of Vermin.
Well, yeah.
but if you take just major media, him and Adam are probably pretty close to the same. And the only people that major media wanted to talk about was Lincoln Chafee, so he competes as well.
Yeah, and I've noticed that in the Libertarian Party that for some reason it's people outside of the party coming into the party that gets all the attention.
Correct.
Instead of the people from, so why do you think that native libertarians don't get as much attention as people almost co-opting into the party?
Because they don't present a different opinion. I like Gary, and Gary's a great guy, but libertarianism is not fiscally conservative and socially liberal. That is not what we are. We are ethical. Now, sometimes that means, I don't think it's right to take somebody else's money. That's unethical. That puts us on the right? I don't think it's ethical to tell somebody who they can have sex with. As long as it's consensual, it's consensual. That's ethical. So that's not real. And so many things that they put on the left and the right, they put war on the right, and they put, in because it's murdering somebody, but it's unethical.
Didn't Hillary basically run off of two facts? She is a woman. Mm-hmm. She wants to go to war with Russia.
Right.
She's left. Very, very left. Yeah.
Yeah. And they want to, so these people that they're trying to paint as center, people are not central. People care about particular ideas and they care about different things, but most often people just want to be left alone. They want to live their life. They don't actually want to be involved in all this political bullcrap. I don't. I work for a presidential candidate. I'd much rather be doing other crap with my time. The reason I'm not is I have kids. I have kids and I don't want them enslaved. So that means that I've got to, right. So I've got to do what I can do. Patrick Henry and for that matter, Thomas Paine both said, better in my day than my children's time.
So I got a toughie for you. So you're saying that, all right, I get why you can't just hop onto the TV news, nightly news, whatever. Mm-hmm. But
people think you can.
Yeah, I know they think you can, but what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I mean, it is very, very, very difficult to do that unless you are being massively funded.
Correct.
But we live in the digital age, okay? I can make a video and send it out to many, many people. So then, as someone who does press, why not just take advantage of Facebook or YouTube and get it all out there?
The answer is because they're censored. Because for one time, to use an example, for a while, and I got to give credit where credit is due, Big Yellow Hat, Taxation is Theft, Dan Behrman noticed, good guy, friend, and would vote for him in a heartbeat. He's my second choice. Great guy. To be clear, third choice, Berman. but I like Dan. And Dan noticed when he was making YouTube videos, because he does that himself a lot, that you couldn't tag Libertarian. Wouldn't let you for a long. You can now because he made a big damn stink about it. But for a long time, you could not tag your video with Libertarian. Wouldn't let you.
What, on YouTube?
Mm-hmm.
And what would happen if you attempted it?
It wouldn't accept it. We're not able to put Libertarian as a tag.
So it would treat the tag Libertarian the same way it would, say, a curse word. Correct. Or a racial slur.
Right. It had made it on the list of unacceptable terms.
Did they ever give any reasoning? It's just, sorry about you. Okay.
Adam Kokesh is again, and I'm not just trying to harp on Adam, it's just that Adam is one, what I'm most familiar with.
Sure.
And it's also, he's the best damn example of half this stuff. He is probably the most shadow banned, and what shadow banning is, I'll get to in a second, but he's probably the most shadow banned individual on YouTube. What shadow banning is when you post something, it posts, you see it, and nobody else does. Because it doesn't show up in their feed. Sure, if they go to your page and they look at your recent videos, there it is.
Just to make it more clear, though, the way I see Adam gets his enjoyment out of getting a story done by having his teeth kicked in for dancing at a national monument.
Right.
So Adam, he's a Marine, a jarhead, if you will. I'm a veteran, I can say that. So he's used to facing controversy and those sorts of things, which I think is why he's being a good sport so far with everything of being restricted and not put out there for doing all the great work that he's doing.
Right. But what he faces, just to give you an idea, he has over 200,000 subscribers. What that means, what's supposed to happen in YouTube land, is when I log onto my Facebook and I've subscribed to Adam. I'm supposed to get a little notification that says Adam Kokesh put a new video out. Adam has over 70 million views. 70 million views on YouTube. Okay, so he's been watched a bit. Now, most of that's in the past because it used to be before YouTube was bought by Google that none of this happened. Then they were bought by Google. But anyhow, so with 200,000 subscribers who are being told this guy you like and chose to subscribe to, you have to click the little button, which, by the way, click the little button. But you have chosen that you want to know when he puts out a new video. Out of that, his average for his videos in views is between 500 and 1,000.
So YouTube post Google takeover is you have to hit subscribe and then you got to hit the bell icon. So you're saying with both of those hit, sometimes you're still missing these videos.
Correct. And so what's to happen? Well, how's that happen? Well, somebody, if you're not familiar with We Are Change and Luke's channel, if you've not, go check it out. It's really good. Good content. Love his stuff. But Luke has literally sat with his keyboard open, watching his video, and watched views go down.
Welcome to being a libertarian.
Right. Somebody unwatched your show. So, and that's only half of what the censorship that YouTube does, though. For instance, if you type in, this is great, if you type in We Are Change, that's the name of his channel, type in We Are Change Yellow Vests, he's on like page 3. Wow. You're going to get CNN, you're going to get MSNBC, Fox, but it gets deeper. It gets deeper than that. People say, well, but that's because those are big outlets and the numbers are high. On the Yellow Vests, on one video, he got over 1 million views on that video. The highest the mainstream media got, any of them, on the Yellow Vest was 7,000. Still underneath. Because nobody goes to YouTube to watch CNN.
Right.
They have CNN on their TV. So they go there to watch people like Luke Brodowski. That's why they're there. And so that is more of the censorship that's done by YouTube.
Yeah, I really wonder what YouTube would say as to why they put him on the third page, given that he had an enormous amount more views. I mean, isn't that what YouTube exists for, is to have people watch videos a lot so they get ad revenue for the ads in between.
Right, and he has ad revenue that he added. They demonetized that video. He didn't get millions, but this is what's great. They demonetized it, which means he doesn't get paid, and then after 2 days later, they remonetized it.
So was he cussing in it or doing something obscene? Did they give any reason for the demonetization that you're aware of?
No.
They just didn't like it.
Right.
So as a libertarian and as an anarchist, I know that we believe in property rights, and if you would have created YouTube, then you didn't like my video, you have every right in the world to can my video for whatever reason. Is your platform. So how do you reconcile being censored by YouTube since it's their platform?
Well, there's a fallacy in there to start with. The first fallacy is that it's a free market. It is not a free market when the government infuses a company with money and says, if you censor in this particular fashion, then we're going to give you all this money. It's a business. A business is in existence to make money.
Sure.
That's why it's there. Luke, really, other than the little bit of ad revenue, let's say that every video he puts out in ad revenue brings 10 cents per video. He puts out, I don't know, probably 2 a day. Okay, so they're making 20 cents a day on Luke. Okay, so in a year they haven't made $10.
Yeah, but that'd be 10 cents per person, right?
It'd be 10 cents per video.
Oh, wow.
Right. So they're not making a lot off of every video.
Yeah, that makes sense. Otherwise, that'd be a lot of money if it was 10 cents per video. Okay, same page.
Right. So they're making money off of him for sure, but not a vast amount. And then there's dozens of him. You know, there's lots and lots of people that are doing that, and that's great. But if the government comes along and says, here's $3 million, and you don't got to do nothing except to enforce these rules, that's not a free market. It's a manipulated market. And I'm not saying that this is pure socialism. It isn't. It is more of a form of fascism, a matching of which people get all uptight about fascism. Donald Trump's a fascist, which he is. But
most people don't know what fascist means.
Right.
It just means somebody they don't like.
Right. Yeah. What fascism actually means is the merging of private businesses with government, so that it's a form of socialism. That, you know, people like to try to put them on different sides. No, they're on the same side. They're just different kinds of the same side. And to be clear, I don't like either. But if I have to choose between the pure socialism, which says we're going to pay for your health care, or the fascism that says we're going to make you pay this company that we pay for your health care, I'll take the free health care. I don't agree with either. But if I have got to choose between these two shitty systems, I'll take the free shit over the you have to buy from this one place.
Yeah, I usually differentiate my mom. Fascist is shiny black boots, goose stepping down the street. Socialist is people with holes in their shoes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. And very, very true. And except for that, both of them wind up with the regular people having holes in their shoes. Yeah. But anyway, but don't think that this is just YouTube. It isn't. You know, myself, I was kicked off Facebook for posting a anti-war post.
I'm only laughing because you've got your ass handed to you by Facebook so many times.
I know. And it's never for a reason. Like, I'm not out there saying racist shit or attacking nobody. I'm saying let's be free. Don't kill people. Yeah. I literally was taken down for a picture of that Jim Carrey painted of a Yemenis bus. Nobody's dead yet, but it's got kids in it. Okay, and this is a painting. But there is a missile with USA written across it. Okay? That's the Jim Carrey painting. All right? I put war is murder in red letters across it. They kicked me off Facebook, not for 1 month, not for 2 months, but for 3 months. For 24 hours, I couldn't get on at all. Now, for 3 months, I couldn't do anything but post original content on my page that no one could see. I could see it, but you couldn't. If you went to my page, you could see it. But who just goes, I think I'll visit Marcus today. You know, who does that? No, everybody does through their feed. My shit didn't show up in your feed. Ever.
So they were still able to collect your information.
Yeah, right.
They were still able to service you with ads.
Yeah.
But you couldn't actually communicate to the masses.
Nope. And I actually tracked the because a lot of people think that this is all the left, because people get divided into the divide and conquer, left versus right. I'm neither. But they get divided in this, and people want to say, well, these leftists are complaining, and that's why this is. You can go. Derek Bros does a great job on the Conscious Resistance Network. I just go to the consciousresistancenetwork.com, and he has a lot of work on how this is the neocons doing this. And this has been shown to be true in my own experience, because I've actually gotten nailed by Facebook, like he said, multiple times, but 2 primary times. That last time was for an anti-war post. But before that, before I had Aquarian Anarchy, I had my own page where I did my own thing and posted stuff that me and him worked together with Voluntary Visions. And on that page, I had posted where I was reading old articles because I was trying, my job for Adam, if he gets the nomination, I'm going to have to talk to people. I'm going to have to be on camera. And it looks right now like I'm pretty comfortable. I didn't used to be. And I knew that needed to happen. So I decided to practice. And how I decided to practice was reading old articles that I had written for Adam, because I did that too. That's not something that's required to be involved with the media for a campaign. That's why I didn't list it earlier. But it's something I did on my own that helped Adam out. I do an awful lot of that. But anyhow, one of those articles was on the neocons. Before I did my article on the neocons that I posted on Facebook, I posted the YouTube link, which they censor YouTube links anyway on Facebook because they want you to just post to Facebook. It's a redundant piece of crap, and I don't like doing it.
I hate Facebook videos.
Yeah.
The commercials are always awkward and long, and you can't skip past them. Nobody likes Facebook videos.
I agree. But they don't completely censor, and you will sometimes see a YouTube video come through your feed, but it's not going to be one of the first things that comes through. But anyway, but I posted in groups. I got to figure a way around a lot of the censorship by posting like a fiend in groups. And you can see me do this today. The reason I'm sharing Adam Kokesh's video that he did today in this group and that group and this group, and you're like, I've seen their video 3,000 times, is because there are a bunch of 5,000 people that are friends of Adam's on his Facebook cannot see it because he's being shadow banned. How you get around that is you throw it into the groups. Throw it into the groups, and somebody's going to see it, and it's working.
So be specific. Shadow banning. What is a good definition of it?
I actually said that earlier. It's where where you post to you, it looks like you posted, but it doesn't show up in anybody's feed. You're not actually banned. You can post, you can do that kind of thing, but nobody else sees it. It doesn't carry over into their feed.
So do you think that that's provable in some way? To where you can prove to me you've been shadow banned.
Yeah, and that's where I was getting at, actually. That video that I did on the neocons in YouTube, there's an algorithm or a analytics. That's what I was looking for. Analytics where you can see where all of your views come from. Well, I pay attention to that. And because I'm trying to figure out where is the best, what's working, what's not working, because I like making videos and I like having them be seen. So anyway, I posted that video before I posted the video on the neocons, particularly. I was getting 70% of my views from my own page were coming from Facebook. 70%. After, it didn't go down to 20, it didn't go down to 10, it went to 0. I got no views, none from Facebook, not a one. And it remained there. If you watch it, it does this.
Did Facebook send you any kind of notice or anything?
Nope, nothing.
Just behind the scenes, it just happened.
Yep, for sure. And what that did was it eliminated my voice. Now, they didn't do it to my page. I could still post, just, me saying, fuck the government or something like that, and it come right through. But the YouTube videos, immediately, and I noticed it too on the page, on my Facebook page, because I was getting likes. I was getting like 7, 8 likes for this video, and then open it up again, and I got 3 or 4 more, and so on. And none of them. Didn't get anything. So that matters too. And they say that this is an algorithm, and they say that this is, all this, and that's bull. And it's shown that it's bull because with all of this coronavirus stuff coming out, they have said we turn this over to the algorithm.
So computer scientist here. Have a degree in computer science. Algorithms are built by people.
Mm-hmm.
There are very specific things that go into them to where people structure what they want an automatic action to occur. So if I was to say, hey, no racist language on my website that I'm hosting, I would put in all the racist words and say, hey, if someone tries to post something like that, can it? So I, as a human being, made that happen. This isn't AI, a computer sitting there going, I don't think anybody will like this, throw it out. No. This is a preset of instructions that was given to a system to do this. So the scapegoat of, oh, it must have been the algorithm that did it. Y'all built the algorithm. Y'all pay people insane amounts of money, techies, to build this algorithm and know exactly what it does. It's not a good scapegoat.
Right, and they've also, in this, they've admitted that's not what they're doing. They weren't doing it, because YouTube, too, both Facebook and YouTube, said, oops, things are going to get thrown out a little bit more because we turned it over to the computer. Which means they weren't doing it before. So, but on top of that, I can see, if you want to go down farther in the videos, if you go far enough back, you can find there's a picture of a down thumb, a Facebook down thumb, where I kind of get into the exact amount of how much Facebook fucked me. So you can go look at that. Okay, and to be clear, I know I'm saying fuck right now because I'm not trying to make any money on YouTube. Fuck you. So that's where it's at. But if I want to make some money, go to my store, links below, buy some t-shirts, buy some stuff. But anyway, if you want to see what exactly they did, I break it down. But it was enough for me to know, because it was just plain mean. This was an individual. This was a person who said, we're shutting him down. And this is me. This video is going to get watched in the first week by maybe 50 people, maybe 100 people. 50 to 100 people, that's nothing. They did that to me.
Right, which really begs the question, how did you get on the radar in the first place?
Press secretary.
Press
secretary,
presidential candidate, yeah.
Yeah, and so that is a stifling of political conversation. What we're talking about is exactly what they do. It's done in a different way, but it is what they do in China. It is what they did in Nazi Germany. It is what they did in Soviet Russia. They're just doing it differently, and they're employing fascism instead of socialism.
Now, he's struggling to get views in places and get press reports places. Let Adam Kokesh say, what is Aleppo? Guarantee it.
Everywhere. Suddenly he's at the top of the list.
So in a really fucked up way, you can see that Adam Kokesh is a good guy because he's not on the news.
There is truth to that.
Which is insane.
Yeah. So for all of you that are struggling as libertarians to get out, I feel you. I'm with you. I also want to point out that, yes, I work for Adam, and yes, I think that he has the best chance of really bringing an idea of freedom to the American people. And
also pulling people together. I mean, if you're a Democrat, you're a Democrat. If you're a Republican, you're a Republican. But you can still want freedom and the absurdities that the government is bringing to be removed as a Democrat or Republican. Yeah. He's still your guy.
Right.
Because the other two parties are like, no, let's fuck it up even more.
Right. Who needs to work? Who needs to pay bills?
Yeah.
But that being said, there's a lot of libertarian candidates that are awesome. Some of them that I didn't list earlier. Jo Jorgensen, wonderful person.
Mm-hmm.
Had the opportunity to meet her at the Indiana Libertarian Party. She's a very nice person. I enjoyed her. Will I likely vote for her? Probably not, because she wants to be elected president and wants to be in charge. And I don't do that. I'm an anarchist. But much rather her get elected than Donald Trump or Bernie Sanders. So if I think she's got a chance, I might just go vote.
Yeah, I like how Kokesh talks about it, the Ring of Power from the Lord of the Rings, the Tolkien story, about how you need to not put it on. Even though you really want to put it on and rule all the people, you need to go throw it in Mount Doom. And really, for me, you're one of two candidates. You're either someone that wants to put on the Ring of Power in the midst of corruption and darkness so that you can revel in that and gain from that, or you want to destroy the one true ring, which Adam is very openly, one, the ring exists, and two, he wants to get rid of it.
Yeah, and the reason that I listed off Dan and Vermin and why I can vote for them is simple. And I didn't use Dan used to be my third choice, and Vermin was my second. But he changed that in an interview with Adam. And how he did it was he was talking about taxation as theft, and he talked about that how we take this thing down. Notice how we take this thing down is by defunding it. How do we? Is as president he does nothing but defunding everything, tear it all down and let it fall apart.
Because if you really think about it, Americans are forced to fund their own oppression.
Yep.
The everyone that's going to point a gun in your face or goose step down the road in shiny black boots got paid all that stuff by your money.
Yep. Lysander Spooner said something very similar. He said those in power, and I'm going to mess up the quote. This is close. He said those in power well understand that their power rests upon money, because with money you can hire soldiers and force people to do what you want them to. In essence, that's pretty much what he said. And what Dan is saying is, no more money. You get no more money. On board. Don't like it as much as Adams. I think Adams' plan is a much more reasoned approach. I think it's safer because you stop doing that and
Right.
things, so I don't like it as well, but I like it. And Vermin's is fuck you. Fuck you, government. Fuck you, government. And by the way, fuck you, government. I like that too.
And I would also like to go on record. I currently work for Adam. I do IT for Adam. However, if anybody comes up with a better plan than what Adam Kokesh has, respectfully, I'm going to go and try to support them instead.
And by the way, that's exactly what Adam has said.
Oh yeah, Adam himself will go and support the other candidate.
His exact words is he wants my job. He wants to be the press secretary. He can have it. I want to go. I'd like to be the Midwest coordinator for whoever the hell is better than Adam. Let me be in charge of the Midwest for them. I'm good. Because being a press secretary is hard freaking work, and Adam would do it better than I do. So, about it. Right now, Adam's got me, and we got Adam. But anyway, are we about done?
Yeah, I feel good. I think we have a good understanding on what it is that you do, why it is so difficult to work with news outlets, or I guess do work for news outlets, and why social media is such a struggle for you to even be able to get basic information out to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you've liked this, please like it, share, subscribe. Go to my website, buy a t-shirt.
Click the bell icon.
Yeah. With that, let you know. Don't worry. At most, I post like twice a week. I'm not going to bug the shit out of you. And I try to be entertaining. Sure, this is a little bit more of a serious conversation, although lately I've been a little more serious on my show too. But my show, I just make fun of people.
Can I get one of these at your store?
You can. You get a t-shirt with that on it.
Nice.
Yeah, you get all kinds. You get pillow, phone case. So thank you very much for watching, and stay free. Stay safe too.
Absolutely.